spoilers. I am Adam, and it is a very rainy Friday, but it's Friday nonetheless, which means it's time to talk about Peacemaker, DC's show on HBO Max. Now, this episode, here's the thing, is it's like each episode gets better and better, and I think the thing is they're giving Vigilante more time to shine, and in the beginning I was hesitant about Vigilante. I wasn't 100% thrilled with him throughout the show, because I was like, I liked the way they did Adrian Chase on Arrow, and they took a very serious take on it. Wasn't, Vigilante, it was Prometheus, but it was a very serious take and a very serious deconstruction of Oliver Queen as the Green Arrow over 5 years, and it worked very well, and I was a big fan of that. My issue is, and then this happened, it's just kind of goofy and silly and all of that, but they do a great job in this show with, Peacemaker's ridiculous, and his antics are ridiculous, and making him the straight man to Vigilante's even worse nonsense is great. There's a whole sequence when they're interrogating the butterfly Goff, and he goes, and they're at, all right, so knock once if you're, for yes, knock twice for no. And it's him and Vigilante. So, Vigilante goes, okay, do you understand? And it knocks once for yes, and then he goes, okay. And then Vigilante goes, what is your favorite color? And he's like, it's yes or no. And it's like, okay, is your favorite color teal? And then it's like, it's just, the whole interaction is so funny, because the entire time, Vigilante's great. And Vigilante has some more great moments in the next episode. I'm not going to say what they are. But it's just all around. It's just really, this character has really grown on me in a way that I didn't see it happening. Where it's he's kind of like Deadpool, but substantially dumber Deadpool. But it is really fun to watch. And to see him, grow into this role and really just take it and run with it and feel like, he can do everything he wants to. Freddie Strom is just really killing it there. I like the way that the detective changes because she gets taken over by a butterfly, Goff takes her over. I like how her personality changes, and the way she talks after being taken over is really funny. And then her trying to smile and be like, I forget, smiling is different in everybody. You have to relearn it every time. It just is really awkward, forced, weird smile. And it's so funny. This is probably the funniest episode to date. Last episode had the best, action so far. This one has, a lot of the best jokes. And I'm looking forward to, seeing the White Dragon face off against Peacemaker, which that's coming to a head at some point in the future, obviously, because he wants to kill his son, and he put on the armor, and, that means that we're going to have a fight eventually. Seeing Robert Patrick put on the armor was a cool thing, but I think that we're getting to a point where this is going to be an interesting continuation when we get to that point. So I think this whole show is kind of really not finding its footing. To say it's finding its footing is working, is saying that it didn't have that before, but it's really, this is the episode where the tone is locked in, and we can say this is where the show is what it is. It is the epitome of what this show is this episode where we get a lot of jokes, strife within the team, and all of that. And it's not just Peacemaker who has jokes, and I think you can probably make the argument that that's a little bit of a detriment to the show. Is that a lot of the characters have the same vocal pacing and like, you know, and sense of humor, where like early on we see, you couldn't wait till afternoon when there were no cars coming, you motherfucker. Where it's like early on, you know, last episode we found out that Myrn was a butterfly, so Adebayo, he attacks her, and then they debrief her. It's like, we know he's a butterfly, he's a good butterfly, he's a defector from the group. So like, you know, that whole conversation happens, and he goes, and it's like, you know, how do you know it's a she? It's like, well, you know, she has a vagina. And it's like, oh, aliens have vaginas? And it's like, alright, yeah, and it's like, yeah, like, why is that weird to you? And it's like, alright, what's her name? And he goes like, I don't know, that's a human thing, we don't name our genitalia. Like, it's such a great exchange, but the thing is, the exchange does feel like it could have come from any character, except for maybe Economos. I don't see him being involved in that. And speaking of which, very Steve Edgy light this episode, and he's really been, like, last episode he really got his chance to, you know, to have a moment. The scene of Peacemaker in with the students in the beginning is hilarious. And that intro will never not make me laugh. I think that if they wanted to sell people on the show at this point, now that it's out, I think that the scene between John Cena and Freddie Stroma when they're interrogating the butterfly, something they should just release online and be like, this is what this show is, and it goes over, and then it's like, you know, are you here to try and go home, like in E.T.? Are you here to make shitty music, like in Close Encounters? Are you here to... And then it's like, it's just going through movies, and then John Cena's like, wait, what are other movies? And he just starts listing out random movies, and he's like, no, why did you think that I wanted random movies? I mean movies with aliens in it. And he goes, well, just in case you want to have a movie night later. It's just so funny. He just plays that sociopathic, like, you know, role, but like completely, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's just, he's a sociopath, and he's basically a serial killer, with a very warped moral code, even worse than, I would say, Peacemaker, or just as bad as Peacemaker. But it's just so well executed, that it is really funny to watch. But it's just like a dumb version of Peacemaker. Or like maybe a socially inept version. Like a version of Peacemaker who never learned social skills. Like, obviously there's a case to be made that, you know, Peacemaker doesn't have it if he's, you know, killing people based on a black and white moral code, but still, like, you know, we're not going to get into that aspect of it. It's just a really fun show, and, like, you know, I only started looking forward to watching the Book of Boba Fett recently. Like, when they started reintroducing characters from The Mandalorian, that's when I got interested in watching the Book of Boba Fett on a weekly basis, and so it's like the last 2 weeks, and it's like, before that it felt like homework. Peacemaker, when the show was announced, I felt like it was going to be one of those, like, homework assignment shows, where it's like, I'm not watching this because I want to, I'm watching this because I have to, and I feel obligated to, and if it's not good, it's going to prevent me from watching these other shows that they're doing in the future. And this motherfucker doesn't have his lights on. It's a fucking rainstorm. But, you know, this has grown into, like, my favorite TV comedy that I'm watching week in and week out. Where it's, like, it's funny and it's well done and it's, you know, I think that, you know, it like, that's the thing. It's like, if I can't sit here and be like, hey, here's what I would have done differently, like, and people who listen to the show know I would do that if there was something I felt I could do differently, but the fact that I'm not doing that should indicate how highly I think of this show, where fucking won't let me in, where it's like, you know, if there's something to change, I'll point it out, but there is nothing to change, in my opinion. What else is there worth noting about this show? Yeah, I think that, like, it's just, it is, don't even think I have any criticisms, which feels problematic to me. Like, ordinarily, I'd be able to point to, like, well, this is a little slow, or this is like, I know that we didn't get a lot of hardcore in this episode, but what we did get was a good heartfelt moment between her and Peacemaker, where, they start seeing each other as people, and not just Peacemaker wants to fuck her, and she sees Peacemaker as an asset. And it's like they're starting to develop not a romantic relationship, maybe, but more of a relationship where they feel, like treat each other as humans, which is big. I think that, the fact that Amanda Waller is kind of, like, sidelined does help the show a little bit. But it does make me question why Amanda Waller doesn't have a bigger role. Because it's just the kind of thing that Amanda Waller would probably want to be on top of if there are this many butterflies that are taking over people's brains all over the world. Like, that seems like the kind of thing. Oh, and with the smiling thing, like, during that sequence at the end when they do the butterflies are taking over the entire police station and the jail, when they're walking out, everyone has these really creepy smiles on because they're all trying to learn how to smile in the new bodies. It's such a great little, because the learning how to smile joke is such a small joke in the episode that the callback works so well. It's really funny. I don't know. What else was there? I would have liked to known the inside man cop who's working with the team. I would have liked to have known what his deal was. Because, like, that's the thing, is it's like, he seems pretty smart, and then it's like he just straight up kills cops in cold blood, and then I think it's just so we don't feel bad when he gets, but they didn't do anything for Song or for, Dollar Store Owen Wilson either. But, like, that's the thing, is it's like, I see that, and I want to know what this guy's thing is. Like, why is he like this? And like, is there a reason for it, and what's going on there? But they don't really give an explanation for that, because he immediately gets taken over by a butterfly. But, like, he's got a great moment, too, when he's describing who it was that killed the cops to him. It's like, and the guy's like, oh, no, it's Abby Peacemaker. And he's like, no. There's a guy, like, 5'5", wearing a black mask and wearing a striped shirt and a fedora, and as he was running away, he was saying "robble robble," and it's like the guy who goes over to someone. I think he gets described the Hamburglar. But yeah, great show. It's always been entertaining, and this episode's just yet another episode that's very entertaining and very fun to watch. And after next episode, I will be just as blind as everyone else. I've seen through episode 7. So after the next episode, I'll be, on even playing field going into the finale, which is going to be interesting to me. So yeah. I think that's it. No movie tonight, but I do need a day of rest, and I need to write a write-up for Sundance and the acquisitions. I'll use that for, and I'll also do it for 30-minute reviews. I want to do Who We Are, Chronicle of Racism in America, the documentary. I will be doing that tomorrow, Saturday. So, yeah, that's the next movie we're going to do. Then next week, the final episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And what else is next week? Death on the Nile is next week. So look out, those of you who liked Murder on the Orient Express, of which I was not one of them. We will be doing Death on the Nile next week. So I'm going to cut it short a little bit today, because that's the issue with an episode that's as good as this episode, where it's like I don't have anything to criticize. Like yesterday I did a solid half hour on my commute about the Book of Boba Fett, because there was a lot to talk about and a lot of stuff to be like, hey, this is kind of fucked up, it's kind of weird that they're doing this, and this is why I'm treating this the way that I am, and all of that. This show is just so consistent that there's nothing I can say about it that makes me, that, is critical. And it seems weird to do that. And if you told me I was going to have a Star Wars show and a DC TV show going on at the same time, and one of them I wouldn't be able to criticize, following on Mandalorian Season 2, and, everything that's gone on in the CW, and other DC stuff in recent history, I would have said probably, no, it's definitely the Star Wars show. That's the one that's going to have no criticisms. But I think that's, what we're learning now is that's incorrect. It is very hot in here. I feel like I am very slowly cooking to death. What else was there? I think that's it. I think we will wrap up there for today. And we will be back with more stuff next week. So until then, have a great rest of your week.